In the heart of the ancient Igbo forest, there lived a woman who hungered for power so much that she turned against her own blood. At night, villagers whispered in fearful tones, she ate her own twins alive just to gain powers. They warned children never to wander near her compound, for the cries of babies could still be heard echoing in the wind when the red moon rose, but how could a mother commit such a deed? Long ago, in a village called Umidike, power was everything. Hunters earned respect through the size of their kills. Farmers commanded honor by the abundance of their barns. Healers and diviners were both feared and courted, for their words carried the weight of spirits. In such a world, even women competed for esteem. Some were praised for their many children, others for their beauty, others for their trading skills. But among the women of Umidike, few stirred curiosity like Ogoma. She was strikingly beautiful, with skin smooth as polished calabash and eyes sharp as a hawk's. When she walked to the stream, heads turned. When she spoke at the market, men paused in their bargaining. Her husband, Nana, a strong palm wine tapper, adored her in the early years. He risked his life climbing tall raffia palms at dawn, collecting sweet wine that foamed and hissed in calabashes. He spent his earnings on fine wrappers for her, beads for her hair, and meat for her meals. Yet Ogoma's heart was restless. Comfort was not enough. She desired more than food and clothes. She wanted reverence. She wanted villagers to kneel when she passed, to whisper her name with awe, as they did for the priestesses of the river goddess. She wanted to command, not merely exist, but there was one shadow that swallowed all her beauty and ambition. She had no children. In Umidike, barrenness was a stigma heavier than poverty. At the stream, when women bent over their pots, their babies clung to their wrappers, tugging and laughing. Mothers compared milestones. My son already walks like his father. My daughter has begun fetching firewood. Oguma smiled tightly, but inside, jealousy gnawed at her ribs. Each word was a blade. Years passed. Her womb remained silent. Whispers followed her like shadows. Perhaps she is cursed. Maybe the gods sealed her womb. Should Nana not take another wife? Each whisper stung like a scorpion. At night, when Nana sighed in his sleep, Ogoma stared into the darkness, bitterness filling her chest. One night, as the moon climbed above the treetops, Ogoma sat by the hearth, staring into the flames. Her eyes were red from tears unshed. She whispered to herself, if the gods will not give me children, then I will carve my own path. Even if it cost me my soul. After that night, Ogoma changed. She avoided the gatherings of women. She no longer joined in their songs. Instead, she sat alone, grinding herbs, muttering words none could hear. Some said she had begun visiting diviners in secret. Others claimed they saw her at crossroads at strange hours. Nana noticed the distance too. At first he tried to cheer her. Ogoma, do not weep. A child will come when the gods allow. But her response was sharp. The gods are deaf. What good is a husband's promise when my womb is empty? Nana sighed. He loved her still, but he feared the bitterness spreading in her heart. Beyond the farmlands and across the river lay the forest of Ogwagu, a place the villagers avoided. Hunters never set traps there, farmers never gathered firewood there. The air was thick, as if heavy with unseen eyes. It was whispered that dark spirits dwelled there, spirits that did not serve the benevolent gods but thrived on blood and secrecy. There was a shrine in that forest, known as Ogwagu Alusi. Few dared speak its name. It was said that desperate men and women went there to trade with spirits, but the price was always unbearable. It was to this shrine that Ogoma went. One midnight, she wrapped a white cloth tightly around her waist. In one hand, she carried kola nuts and a calabash of palm wine. In the other, a white cock. The moon was pale, hiding behind drifting clouds. She walked past the farms, past the yam barns, past the river where frogs croaked. The forest swallowed her. Branches clawed at her wrapper. Owls hooted, their calls echoing like laughter. Still, she pressed forward, her heart pounding but her ambition stronger than fear. At last she reached a clearing. There, stones lay piled in a mound blackened by countless sacrifices. Dried blood stained the earth. The air was cold, though no wind blew. Ogoma knelt, her knees pressing into the dirt. She placed the collar before the stones, spilled the palm wine onto the ground, and set the cock down. Then she cried aloud, "Spirit of Ogwagu, hear me. The gods mock me with an empty womb. Give me what they deny. Give me children. Give me power. Make me feared above all." For a moment, silence. Even the night insects ceased their song. Then the cock screamed once and fell dead, its eyes open, its blood seeping without a blade touching it. The ground trembled beneath her knees. A voice came, layered and many, as if men and women spoke at once. "We will give you children. But not for joy. Not for love. They will be born for sacrifice. Twins. A boy and a girl. When the moon is red, you must feed us their flesh while their blood is still warm. Only then will you rise above mortals." Ogoma's body shook, but her hunger for greatness silenced her terror. She nodded. "I accept." The forest sighed, as though in satisfaction. And from that night, Ogoma's fate was sealed. Weeks passed. Ogoma's belly began to swell. The women of Umidike rejoiced. The gods have remembered her. They cried. They sang songs at the stream, ululated, and clapped for joy. Nana's face lit with pride. He built a new cradle from raffia palm, painted it with dye, and carved protective symbols on its edges. For the first time in years, his laughter returned. But Ogoma kept her secret. Each time she felt the baby's kick, she whispered, "Forgive me, little ones. Your lives are not your own." She smiled outwardly at the celebrations, but inside she counted down the days to the red moon. The day Ogoma went into labor, the village erupted in excitement. Women rushed into her hut with hot water, cloth, and herbs. The air was thick with ululations, songs of joy rising like smoke into the sky. When the cries of not one, but two babies filled the air, the celebration doubled. Twins. The gods were said to smile specially upon such births. Drummers beat rhythms outside the hut, and children danced barefoot on the earth. The boy was named Obina, meaning father's heart. The girl was named Adan, meaning daughter of her mother. Their names rolled sweetly off tongues, and blessings poured over them. Ogoma smiled for the village, but inside, her heart was heavy. She remembered the chilling words of the spirits, "When the moon is red, you must feed us their flesh while their blood is still warm." For now, she hid her dread. She nursed the twins, bathed them, and lulled them to sleep. Outwardly, she was a proud mother. But each suckle of milk felt like a countdown drumbeat. Weeks passed. The twins thrived. Their laughter filled Ogoma's compound. Nana was the proudest man in Umidike. At the stream, women teased her. "Ogoma, see how the gods favor you. First, they made us pity you, then they gave you double blessings." She laughed with them, but her eyes never softened. To her, the children were not blessings but obligations. The spirit's whispers followed her even in daylight. At night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling of her hut, listening to the twins' gentle breathing. Her heart twisted. Sometimes she thought, I could break the promise. I could keep them, raise them. But then came the echo of voices in her mind, hissing, "Do not forget your vow. Their flesh is our feast. Their blood is your bridge to power." Strange things began to happen around Ogoma. Birds hovered near her compound, croaking oddly at night. Shadows seemed thicker when she walked by. Twice, neighbors claimed to see glowing eyes watching from her hut, though she denied it. One evening, Nana entered to find Oguma kneeling before a small clay shrine, muttering. Around it were feathers, cowries, and drops of what looked like blood. "What are you doing, Oguma?" he asked sharply. She turned slowly, her eyes flashing. Praying. Do you question my prayers now? Nana's mouth went dry. He turned away, uneasy. The whispers in the village began again, though softer this time. Ogwema has changed. Her eyes hold storms. Beware a woman who prays too much in the dark. As the months turned, the twins grew stronger, crawling and babbling. Villagers adored them. Some brought small gifts of cowries or food. Blessed children. They called them, but Ogwema only counted the nights. She knew the red moon was near. In Umudike, the red moon was a feared omen. Its glow bathed the village in crimson light, and old women warned that the boundaries between worlds loosened then. Spirits roamed freely, mischief brewed, and sacrifices made on such nights carried deep power. On the evening the red moon was expected, Ogwema could not sit still. She ground herbs furiously, pounded yam with unnecessary force, snapped at Nana when he tried to soothe her. At last she whispered to herself, "Tonight, I will fulfill my vow." That night, the sky glowed with a crimson haze. Villagers bolted their doors, muttering prayers. Children were hushed, animals restless. Inside her hut, Ogwema laid Obina and Adan on a woven mat. They could, tiny hands reaching for her. Her eyes welled with tears. How can I do this? She thought. They are my blood. My womb carried them, my breast fed them. Am I truly so cursed that I must betray them? The twins laughed, their innocent voices breaking her heart. For a brief moment, Ogwema considered running into the night, escaping the spirit's pact, but then the whispers came, hissing louder than ever, shaking her very bones. Do it. Taste their flesh. Drink their blood. Rise above all. Her body shook. Sweat drenched her wrapper. She covered her ears, but the voices thundered inside her head. At last, with a scream, she gave in. Ogwema lifted Obina first, tears streaming down her cheeks. The boy reached for her necklace, smiling. Her heart broke, but her hunger for power pressed harder. She shut her eyes, bit into him, silencing his cry forever. Blood spilled hot over her arms, dripping onto the mat. Adan wailed, sensing her twin's fate, but Ogwema seized her too, repeating the horror. Their cries ceased. Silence filled the hut. Ogwema trembled, staring at her bloodied hands. Her heart pounded as the smell of iron filled the room. Then, obeying the spirits, she placed their flesh into a clay pot over the fire. Smoke curled, filling the air with a scent both sickening and strange. She poured libations of their blood onto the earth, whispering, "Take what is yours." The ground shuddered. The fire roared higher though no wood was added. A cold wind swept through the hut. Ogwema felt power surge through her veins like lightning. Her eyes glowed like embers. Strange markings carved themselves across her arms and face. Her voice deepened, layered with echoes. She staggered, gripping her chest. Then she laughed, a sound not entirely human. The spirits had kept their word. Ogwema was no longer merely a woman. She was something more, something feared. That night, villagers claimed to hear wails coming from Ogwema's compound. Some swore they saw flames rise unnaturally high from her hut, though no fire spread. Others said they heard the laughter of many voices where only one woman lived. In the morning, she emerged, her eyes blazing, her steps heavy with unseen authority. The villagers froze. Even the bravest men lowered their gaze. No one dared ask about the twins. Ogwema spoke little, but her presence silenced conversations. Children stopped playing when she passed. Dogs whimpered and hid. Only Nana asked, his voice trembling, "Where are Obina and Adan?" Ogwema smiled thinly. "The gods give. The gods take." Nana shivered. Days later, Ogwema displayed her new gifts. Snakes slithered at her command. Fire sprang from dry leaves when she pointed. Those who mocked her in the past suddenly found themselves ill, riding in strange fevers. The village's fear grew. Even the chief's warriors stepped aside when she walked past. Some whispered she was now closer to the gods than the priest himself, but in the stillness of night, when the village slept, Ogoma was not at peace. She heard them, her twins. Their cries echoed in her ears, sometimes soft, sometimes piercing, always accusing. When she looked into water, their faces appeared, eyes hollow, lips trembling. She tried to banish them with chants, with herbs, with sacrifices. But the voices never ceased, and so, though she held power beyond any mortal in Umidike, Ogoma began to crumble inside. At first, Ogoma carried her powers with pride. She walked the village paths with her chin high. And the people trembled. When market women argued, a single glance from her silenced them. If a man dared insult her, his yamban would rot within days. Yet power is a fire, it warms, but it also burns. At night, when the crimson glow of her eyes faded and silence wrapped around her heart, Ogoma felt the weight of what she had done. The memory of Obina's hand clutching her necklace, of Adan's innocent wail, pierced her like spears. But worse than memory were the sounds. Always the sounds, whispers of her twins crawled into her ears. Sometimes it was laughter that turned into cries. Sometimes it was cries that melted into whispers, "Mother. Mother. Why?" She pressed her hands over her ears, but the voices lived inside her now. No chant or potion silenced them. Nana had once been a man of song. His laughter could be heard at the palm grove, and his voice rang out in market disputes. But after the red moon, he became a shadow of himself. The twins were gone, and Ogoma never spoke of them. Her eyes, once soft, now glared like hot coal. Her touch felt cold. One evening, Nana returned early from the palm grove and stepped into the inner room of the hut without calling her name. What he saw froze his blood. Ogoma knelt before a clay pot. Inside, a thick, dark liquid bubbled though no fire burned beneath. Around her were bones, tiny, fragile bones, set carefully like charms. She was chanting in a voice that was not her own. Nana stumbled back, heart pounding. The bones, they were too small to be anything but children's. Ogoma. He gasped. She turned, her eyes glowing faintly. Her voice roared like thunder. "You should not have entered, husband." Fear gripped him. He fled into the night, not even daring to take his staff. He never slept in that hut again. Nana kept silent at first, but his absence from Ogoma's hut spoke louder than words. The villagers began to murmur. Why does Nana no longer sleep in his own compound? Why do the children avoid Ogoma's shadow? Why do her footsteps silence the goats? One night, old Mama Ifioma, a respected elder, spoke aloud what others feared to say: Ogoma's twins are gone, and the gods are not blind. She has traded her womb for demons. No one answered her directly, but the silence confirmed their dread. Strange misfortunes fell upon Umidike. Yam leaves yellowed before harvest. Goats gave birth to stillborn kids. Children fell sick with fevers that no herbs cured. Even hunters complained that antelopes had fled the forest. The priest of Ola, the earth goddess, warned that the land had been defiled. Someone has spilled innocent blood, he declared. The soil cries out. All eyes turned, secretly, toward Ogoma, but no one dared accuse her openly. Her powers were too great, her wrath too feared. Inside her compound, Ogoma fought battles unseen. Every reflective surface, water in a calabash, the sheen of palm oil, even the polished gods, became a mirror of her twins' faces. Their hollow eyes followed her. Their lips trembled with silent accusation. She tried sacrifices. A black hen, a goat, even a stray dog. But the voices did not cease. Instead, they grew louder. One night, she woke to find her mouth wet. She thought her water god had spilled, but when she looked closer, it was blood. Blood pooling around her. The twins' cries filled her ears until she screamed, clutching her head, unable to carry the burden alone. Nana confided in his closest friend, Ozoemena. They sat beneath the Udola tree at dusk, fireflies flickering around them. Ogoma has fallen into darkness, Nana whispered. I saw bones. Our children's bones. Ozoemina's face hardened. You must speak to the elders. This is no longer a family matter. This is an abomination. But Nana shook his head. If I speak, she will kill me with her eyes before I finish my words. So the secret spread like smoke, whispered from man to man, from wife to neighbor, until the whole village knew Oguma had eaten her own children. Soon, no one visited her hut. Women no longer came to gossip by her compound. Children were dragged away if they wandered too close. Even market traders avoided eye contact, Oguma noticed. Rage burned in her heart. She had sacrificed everything to be worshipped, to be feared, yet all she had earned was silence and suspicion. Ungrateful fools, she spat one morning, her voice carrying like a curse. Without me, you are ants before the spirits. But the villagers only bowed their heads lower and quickened their steps. The twins no longer only haunted her waking hours, they invaded her dreams. She dreamed of them walking through fire, their skin unburnt, their hollow eyes fixed on her. She dreamed of them crawling into her bed, their small hands tugging at her wrapper. She dreamed of their voices rising in unison, Mother, Mother, you fed on us. Now feed us in return. Each time she woke drenched in sweat, trembling. She chewed bitter cola and whispered chants, but nothing soothed her. The spirits who once promised glory now mocked her with silence. Seasons turned. Life in Umidai gleamed under the shadow of curses. And then, one evening, the priest announced what the sky already showed: the red moon would rise again. Fear gripped the village. Doors were bolted, offerings laid out, children hidden beneath mats, but in Oguma's hut, there was no fear. Only dread. She felt it in her bones before the first crimson light touched the earth. This moon was not for sacrifice, but for reckoning. The air grew heavy. Her shrine rattled though no hand touched it. The clay pot cracked with a sound like bones breaking, and then she heard them, clearer than ever, the twins. They appeared at the threshold, no longer infants but children, yet not living either. Their bodies were shadows, but their eyes glowed with sorrow and fire. Oguma, they said together, their voices shaking the walls. Mother. Her knees weakened. No. I gave you because I had to. I had no choice. Their hollow eyes bore into her. You chose power. Now you must pay. She tried to flee, but the earth beneath her feet burned. She raised her hands to summon fire, to call snakes, but nothing came. The spirits had abandoned her. The twins stepped forward, and with each step the shadows deepened. Oguma screamed. The red moon painted Umidai in blood. Every hut was sealed, every fire snuffed, but the villagers lay awake, listening. Some swore they heard wailing in the wind, a woman's scream mixed with children's laughter. Others said the earth itself rumbled like a drum. Inside her hut, Oguma stood cornered by shadows that once were her children. Obina and Adan's forms flickered like smoke yet pressed closer with every heartbeat. No, she cried, clutching at her chest. I am your mother. I gave you life. Their voices split the air like thunder. And you took it. You drank our blood. You broke the balance. Her knees buckled. She reached for her shrine, for the cracked pot, for the feathers and bones she once trusted, but they crumbled in her hands like ash. The spirits she had bargained with were gone. She was alone with her sin. Oguma bolted from her hut into the moonlit night, her wrapper trailing, her hair wild. She ran barefoot through the compound, past the goat pens, past the Udola tree where children once played. The twins followed, silent, steady. They did not run, yet they never lagged behind. Villagers peered from shuttered doors, trembling. They saw Oguma screaming into the night, clawing at her own face, staggering through the dust. They did not see what chased her, only the emptiness of the air behind her. Mama, Oguma has gone mad, one whispered. No, another muttered, her sins have come to collect her. The chase drove her to the forest edge, to the same path where she had once knelt before the forbidden altar. She stumbled over roots, gasping, sweat mixing with tears. Ogwogu spirits. She cried, raising her hands. I gave you what you asked for. Protect me now. But the forest was silent. The wind carried only her own voice back. Even the owls refused to answer. The twins appeared ahead of her now, blocking the path. Their forms grew taller, their shadows darker. You fed us to spirits, they intoned, but we are not gone. Blood calls to blood. Ogwoma collapsed to her knees, hands shaking. I only wanted power. I only wanted respect. I was mocked, barren, cursed. What else could I do? Obina stepped forward, his voice cold. You chose pride over love. Adan's hollow eyes glistened. You chose greed over life. They reached out with shadowed hands. Her body convulsed as if pulled by unseen ropes. She screamed, thrashing, but the earth beneath her softened, turning to ash and fire. The villagers who dared to watch from afar saw only Ogwoma sinking into the ground, her arms flailing as if swallowed by the earth itself. Her screams echoed until they were cut short, leaving the night in chilling silence. When dawn broke, all that remained of Ogwoma's hut was a circle of blackened soil. Her calabashes, her shrine, her mats, all gone, as though licked away by fire. The villagers gathered in hushed fear. None spoke of the twins. None spoke of the chase. But all agreed, Ogwoma had been taken, body and soul, the priest of Ola declared. The earth goddess has balanced what was broken. Let this place be left barren. No one must plant here, no one must build here. And so it was. The land of Ogwoma's compound lay empty for generations, a scar upon Umidike. Children were warned never to play there. Farmers swore their hosts struck bone if they dared dig too deep, and on nights when the red moon rose, villagers swore they still heard her scream in the wind, mingled with the cries of two children. The tale of Ogwoma teaches that no power gained through evil endures. A mother's womb is a sacred trust. To betray blood for greed is to tear apart the threads of nature. Ogwoma sought to be worshipped, but ended up cursed. She sought respect, but earned only fear and eternal torment. The gods may be patient, but they are just. Those who trade innocence for ambition will one day be consumed by the very shadows they summon. Let the story remind us, the price of unholy power is always more than flesh, it is the soul.